Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I haven't actually recorded anything for a few days. And admittedly, I feel a little bad about that. Though, trust me when I say that it's not for any reason other than... Hold on, so... Actually, I can just use this. It's not for any reason other than being busy and just having an odd schedule shift. But today we are going to continue with the basic Arcana Spotlight series, and we're going to go ahead and use Riptide. So as you can see, Riptide is just an automatic 3-shot, so there's only one combo, so all you have to do is hit the button once, and all 3 shots come flying out. So as you can see, the damage is a little scattered, and it's hard to get the numbers without a critical hit popping up, but it looks like the first hit does 9, second hit does 8, and third hit does 6. So a total of 23 damage for just the one combo. Now, this counts as a projectile, as you can clearly see by the, wave symbol. So, it's about as simple as it seems. The one thing that I will say about it that isn't properly reflected is that it does... There we go, is that it does block projectiles. And when you upgrade it as such, you get yourself a nice little ripple shot there. Which the ripples do 5 damage apiece. Everything else is about the same, aside from the ripples at close range can actually hit multiple times. Taking your damage from 23 to 30 like that. Now, it doesn't have a lot of knockback, which, again, that the idea is that this is more of a defensive tool, as it is meant more so to... pardon me. As it's meant more so just to block projectiles and act in a more defensive fashion. Now, let's quick take a look at Sidewinder's badge and how it works with it. Alright, so we're trying to do this without any critical hits, please? Oh, this is probably not going to happen. So as you can see, the Sidewinder's badge actually isn't adding much to this. I mean, from 23 to 26. Not exactly what I would call the big boost. So this, even though this seems like one where the Sidewinder's badge would do quite a lot for it, actually it's not really doing much. That means that you're getting a total add-on of 1, 1, and 2. Which seems odd to me, because it looks like it's doing more than that, but no, not really. So this is not one that I would recommend using with Sidewinder's badge. As far as the candies are concerned, you're pretty much going to get the most out of the cotton candy, the raw chocolate, or the bubble gum, because that actually... If I can get a bubble to fire off here. That just fires off an extra bouncing bubble that can act at a greater defensive capacity and keep things off of you. Now what you're noticing though is that the candies aren't activating very often. And the reasoning for that is that even though you're firing off 3 ripples at once, it's not counting as 3 activations of your basic. It's counting as 1. So, again, you're not getting a whole lot out of the candies with Riptide. Matter of fact, let me just get this out of the way. I kind of feel that Riptide is the worst water-based basic. Like, every other one has more going for it than Riptide. Between... Hold on. Apparently I'm very sleepy today. But, you know, between multiple hits, better, or a more equivalent range with that extra burst, the freezing and the charge effect, like, every water-based basic has more going for it than Riptide. The only thing Riptide really has going for it is that it can block projectiles, which, yeah, it's useful, don't get me wrong, but there's other ways to deal with projectiles, including not being in the way of the fucking projectile. So you'll have to forgive me for seeming a little cynical, it's just, this one just doesn't do a lot for me. But, as is the nature of the show, I will show it off for you. Look at that, you put on the rule robe and nothing changes. It's the exact same amount of damage. That's actually disappointing, but that might also have to do with... that might have to do with the idea that I'm in the kind of like home training area. I could very well just be misrepresenting that. I guess we'll find out in the actual mission now, won't we? Alright, so how do we want to do this? I think we're going to do it as a projectile-based run. Oh, Dark Sage is doing projectiles again. Big shock. Shut up. But I don't think it's going to be all the same thing. Right now, I'm just looking over to see what makes sense. Like, I'm not at all sure of what I want to do with this particular run. And then what do I want to do for signature? There we go. I think that makes sense. We'll go with that. Oh, no. Why do I keep mixing up where I'm going? I'm trying to pick up a relic. Now, I'm not normally the first person to just... I mean, as I've said before, I don't normally just stack bonuses for the basic I'm using. I'm doing it this time because I feel like Riptide could use all the help it can get. Alright, let's try to start, obviously, at the most difficult point and work our way forward from there. And right now, because of resistances in tow, that would be the... if I can find it. Yeah, there we go, Thundering Keep. And no, I'm not doing the soundtrack selection this time, mostly because my phone is all the way on the other side of the room charging, and what the hell, I was here to talk about a basic anyway, let's just go ahead and do that. So, I don't know if there are any of you out there that are big fans of Riptide. I don't know, I don't get anything from Riptide, I really don't. But then again, it's also been stated many times in the past that I am not a fan of overly defensive setups. So, the other good thing about Riptide is that it is a good crowd control, as it does pierce through targets. So it's good for keeping multiple enemies at bay, but again, you would expect that from something more defensively based. So, that being what it is, I just... oh, hey, there's the Riptide upgrade. Great, we get to see that for the entire duration of the run. So now we've got the Ripple for improved defensive maneuverability. Or I should say capability. Ow. Alright, you know what? I had that one coming. And that's what happens when you succumb to hubris. Hey, easy room. Yeah, this is one of those basics that I was not looking forward to using. Which you could read between the lines there and suggest double fairy action. And the token of elegance. Oh my. Alright, well we're gonna adopt both fairies. You would have to be insane to think that I wasn't going to do that. Ooh, I like how that worked. Alright, so there's more over here. I'm trying to get enough money to get that token of elegance. Okay, I thought for sure the hammer was ready to go. That's why that looks so, flaccid and weak there. Okay, that room was awful. Just plain awful. Don't recommend going to that room ever again. That rates a solid 0 out of 10. Now, I don't blame that solidly on Riptide, but there are other basics I could be using that actually have a status effect attached to them. Something that has a wider area of effect and doesn't leave me so vulnerable after I use it. Yeah, that one room just wrecked my face. Like, enough so that I feel like I need reconstructive surgery. So in case you're wondering, yeah, Riptide comes off as one of those that I don't necessarily recommend. Not a fan of this one. Now the funny thing about Riptide, and I may discover that I'm just wrong about this after posting this episode is that normally there will be at least one person willing to defend the Arcana that I'm kind of tearing apart. Like, I knew when I talked about Obsidian Splitter that there are people that will defend that one. And one of my longest viewers actually defends that one, and even though I don't necessarily agree with him, I find it refreshing because it means that there's an audience for just about all of these spells. Like, the only one I haven't heard anyone defend at all is Riptide. And that's not exactly what one would call just strong-based empirical evidence. But think about that. This is the only basic that I haven't heard any defense of. Like, I'm willing to bet that most of you even forgot that Riptide existed. Beautiful. Alright, we've got plenty of money for those upgrades now. What? I call bogus. That's not at all how that sentence works. Should've said bullshit. You've never been against cursing before, Dark Sage. What changed now? Nothing. I fell into a fit of stupid. Okay, so let's head back here. So we're gonna pick this up. And we're gonna pick this up. Alright, I think we're good. Alright, so... Oh. That'll help, because I am kind of getting my butt kicked a little. Though not as bad as the other floor, oh my goodness. Also, I think it's funny that both of my Electric Arcana are the melee ones. There we go. Ow. Ow. Cut it out. You're a bastard. And for what it's worth, they both might be. Who knows? Alright, Splodin' Fireball. I always do like me some Splodin' Fireball. And I wager it'll do a good deal more damage than Shock Assault. Which again, don't take that as anything against Shock Assaults. I just happen to know that, you know, Shu is weak to fire. Yeah, it blocks projectiles, but beams are in a class all their own. Will obviously take Wall of Splendor. Cut it out. No one wants to see you pass win. Alright, so if I happen to see Radiant Knockouts, to be enhanced, then I should be able to... Thanks up button, that's exactly what I wanted. Then I should be able to give Dr. Song a donation. Now, I'm also willing to accept that I may be in the minority when it comes to Riptide. Maybe there's something about this Arcana that's garnered a huge amount of praise for it. I don't know what that would be personally, and I'm not sure I have the patience to find out. The fact of the matter is, I find Riptide to just be straight up bad. I may come back for the Thunderstone. Like, it just doesn't do enough. It doesn't do enough damage. It's got terrible knockback. And yeah, it can hit a bunch of enemies at once, but I mean, a lot of the other basics that I heaped heavy praise on can do that as well. So that's not necessarily a strong sticking point. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something? If you guys want to share with me in the comments or my social media what it is that I've missed about Riptide and why this is, secretly the best basic in the game, please do. But I'm getting the feeling that no one's willing to say that. But that's my hunch. But again, I'm open to the concept of being wrong. Okay, so I know she's going to take Radiant Knockout. So what do I do? Because I want to keep Radiant Knockout. There we go, I think that works out. Critical placebos is pretty great, thank you. So we'll come back, we'll pick up Mr. Hammer, if I can. I don't actually want a Stone Shot. I mean, I do, but I can't take it. There we go. Managed to find a way to get that to happen. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be at the expense of the Sleepy Thunderstone, but I think we can live with that. love it when you get a skill, when you get a slow motion kill with the exploding fireball. So, just to get this out there, it is, in my opinion, that water is pretty much the weakest element for basics. Like, the overall spread of water-based basic arcanas is either not good to generally mediocre, with only one real exception. But again, if you guys disagree with me, I'm definitely open to conversation. Maybe there's a detail that I missed about some of it, or that I missed about this one, or are going to miss with one of the others. Not that you know what that's going to be. I want your minds to be open. I want you to open your chakras and look through your third eye. Dark Sage, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, you know, things. And you never had anyone to tell you to look through your third eye before? Ow. Hey, it doesn't even knock back enough to keep these guys on with you. Like, that could very well just be a me thing, but... Like, I also am not a fan of if you're trying to combo properly, like, the Riptide actually keeps you strangely tied down. I saw what was about to happen there, but couldn't stop it in time. Like, look at that, I'm holding the control pad the entire time, but it really keeps you tied down for a good 20 to 30 frames there. And again, yes, I'm aware that you can dash cancel out of things, but that's not necessarily the point I'm getting at here. Because when you're trying to put together aggressive combos, you need to be able to react quickly, and Riptide just doesn't really allow you to do that. I also feel as though I'm missing something about Riptide, or maybe I hit the nail on the head. Maybe the only thing to it is that it can block projectiles and pass through enemies when you attack with it. Oh, there's Radiant Knockout. Alright, so then what I can do is hit up Nocturne, see if he's got anything fun for me. And then come back and grab the Radiant Knockout upgrade. Alright, let's see if you've got anything fun for me. I mean, not really. Matter of fact, this all kind of looks like garbage, sir. Like, I'm not sure why you wanted to share any of this with me. And to be fair, no, it's not literally all garbage. Like, I'm just not the biggest fan of Voltaic Needle. Storm Draft would work out a little bit better if I needed a wind-based projectile. Storm Entourage works better with melee builds. Fadeaway Rhythm, again, is better for a melee build, and it's good damage when you have a decent melee build, but basically I had a decent melee attack with Radiant Knockout, and, you know, Surge Anchor can lick my hairy asshole. Alright, last stop before we leave this floor. Alright, so let's grab this, and let's grab that. And the idea will be to make sure that we beat Shu with Exploding Fireball. Now remember, this is important. There we go. God, that floor also kicked my ass. Darkseid, what's wrong with you? You're just getting kicked around. Well, how do you know that that's just not how I fight? Maybe I like to let my opponent think that they have the upper hand. Wow. There we go. So, to give you an idea, the idea of flow across your combos is very important, because you need to be able to maintain both a solid frame of mind and decent movement when you're dealing with the trials. And if you're not performing well, you need to look at what's causing you to not perform correctly. Excuse me, how did the hammer not hit anything there? And part of the problem that I'm having is that Riptide just doesn't do enough to help me control the battle. Because for everything that I said earlier that made it sound really good, trust me when I say that those were all facades. The idea that it's, just one attack that launches 3 hits is a problem, because that essentially means that every time you use it, you're held still for a little while. So you can't abandon it in the middle of the second hit in case you need to dodge. You are just committed to that attack. The idea that it doesn't have much knockback. Well, when you've got a bunch of enemies pressuring you, you need them to stay away from you. And the low amount of knockback, and more importantly, the weak amount of stun value that it has, just doesn't do enough to keep enemies off of you. It's just plain bad. Like, this is one that I'm surprised that they didn't try to rework when they did the big updates that they were making to the game. And a good basic Arcana is essentially kind of it's one of the strongest points of your run, because it's about the only thing that you have that doesn't have a cooldown. So you're going to be using it a lot. And if in trying to use it, you're actually putting yourself at risk because you can't break out of it early. Like, look at that, I can't even dash out of it early. Like, to give you an idea of what I'm doing, I'm pressing the basic button and then mashing dash, and that's the fastest I can get out of it. So, yeah, and its range isn't much more than bolt rails, so honestly, the big question that I would ask is, why aren't you using bolt rail? And it's got a greater sense of control, it's faster. Like, just, it can do everything that Riptide can do aside from destroy projectiles, and honestly, why aren't you just getting out of the way of the projectiles? Like, I know this seems unnecessarily harsh, but trust me when I say I just have nothing kind to say about Riptide. Like, if you just genuinely can't get enough of Arcanas with a defensive bent, then by all means, this is the one for you. But I need a little something different when it comes to my Arcana. Like, even in situations where it should be useful, where it can block enemy projectiles, it doesn't block them fast enough. I don't know if that's really going to help my run. I mean, I'm honestly feeling just... This run isn't dead, but I need to really work to pull back ahead. So, to put it another way, your basic Arcana is essentially your run's linchpin. Because you're going to be using it so much and relying on it so heavily, you really need it to do some heavy lifting for you, like more than most people would think. Because you look at the way the game plays, and you're like, oh, well, all I really need is a solid SIG, and I should be fine, because that's where most of my damage is coming from. Actually, no. That is far from the truth. Most of your damage is actually coming from combo and control. And if you don't have the ability to combo well, you better be able to control well. If you don't have the ability to do either, well, now you're in trouble. Ugh. Okay, well, let's grab this. And what the hell, let's grab this too. And I can no longer buy a health potion. Used that when I was at low health earlier. Yeah, if you can't tell, I'm in a little bit of trouble. I'm gonna switch this back over. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to make witty jokes when you're fighting for survival. Well, you know, Dark Sage, if you would just suck less, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Yeah, good point. Why don't I tell that to the stupid basic I'm using? Oh, they really want me to have that rubber raincoat. But see, here's the thing though, game. I don't want it. Alright. Like I said, when I first started the run, Riptide was going to need all the help it could get. And I knew it was going to need all the help it could get because this Arcana in the past has already severely struck out with me. it's not like I'm saying all these things arbitrarily. I've got a lot of time in this game. I've experimented with a lot of things, and unfortunately, Riptide has just never done anything positive for me. And it used to be when I thought about Riptide, I was just like, oh my god, that Arcana is so boring. But no, it's not that it's boring, it's that it just doesn't do enough. Now, everything else I have is pretty solid. Unfortunately, the one thing that isn't is holding everything else back. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. Grab the Chakra Locket, because that'll increase my defense. Grab another healing potion. And at this point, we just kind of have to hope. We're at full health, though, so that's good. But we also have very little means of controlling the Null Flash Aegis. And yeah, it looks like Sura knows that too. Fortunately, my other standard Arcana are essentially holding the line for me. I screwed up. Help. Okay, so we did it. We did it, but trust me, it was an uphill battle. Riptide is just bad. It is just bad. Don't use Riptide. I would actually recommend Obsidian Splitter over Riptide. Don't use Riptide. That's my advice to you. If you're setting up a run and you need something that's gonna really help you out on the defense, just take Wavefront. I know it's a dash Arcana, but it's infinitely more useful than Riptide. Riptide stinks. Don't take Riptide. It does nothing. Riptide sucks. There, I said it. Riptide. It is one of the bottom tiers for me, but I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Maybe you have a different feeling on Riptide. Maybe I'm underrating it, or maybe you hate it just as much as I do. Whatever the case may be, comment below, let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Links to social media, description, all that stuff. I'm being a little short-winded because Riptide just made me mad, but all that aside, I appreciate that you guys are still here to help out and support the channel and my work. I really do appreciate it, and here's hoping that things continue on much more positive notes. So, again, thank you for coming to spend your free time with me. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I will be seeing you